In this video, I'm going to make a segmented shop pencil for another YouTuber I've been following, and I enjoy their videos and creativity. It's kind of a unique item to have in a shop. I have two in mine, and this is the third one I've made. I made this segmented out of Bocote, Kingwood, and wild tamarin. And you'll see that I only wound up using two. But putting the segmented together, I use a lot of glue. And I don't want any pockets in it. I'll use a popsicle stick. You can use about anything to spread it out with. But again, I put a lot of glue on it, and then I take it apart to make sure that I got everything. And you'll see that there's pockets there. So spread the glue out, make sure it's covered. Have a bunch to wipe off because I'm messy anyway. And use a little wax paper in the bottom of it. Try to get it as square as I can. I'll wind up sawing off both the sides of it. All three of the pieces were irregular. I got them out of the bargain bin, so I needed to get them trued up anyway. So I thought putting the three together was good. They're different colors. All three of them have really strong grain. So I thought it'd be nice to put together. Put it over on the saw, took the wax paper off. Wax paper comes off pretty easy. Get a couple little tears in it, but it allows me to put a lot of glue on and not worry about it. So I trued up both ends, and the one end I certainly had a long piece of Bocote left over, but a couple on the Kingwood too. Then I trued up the sides to get them squared up, but not take off an enormously large amount of wood. And then I did the other side, which didn't take up very much, or didn't cut away too much at all with it. You'll see it diving below the saw. It was so thin. So you can kind of see the contrast there. I then took the barrel of the pencil and sized it up. And I hadn't realized it yet, but I will in a minute. So I cut it on the jig. The reason I cut everything on the jig and not so much the bandsaw is because of this. There's no tear out on it. It cuts it clean. There's support on the bottom of it and the back of it. So it's no chip outs or anything. And you can see that the square or the angle on the jig is square for good support. So you see here I've kind of moved it over to the Kingwood and Bocote with the barrel in it. There wasn't if I put it in the middle of the blank, I would have just had a Bocote pin. So I like the Kingwood was really my first choice, in the Bocote. So it worked out good. But then gluing up with the resin, scale as always. Make sure the barrel fits into the blank. I goop it up pretty good with the resin. It's easier to wipe it off. A little denatured alcohol. And then let it set. I usually let it set for a day. I think this one was a couple days. But if you do want to use it, I use 5-minute epoxy. You'll see the color change, and it'll heat up to where you can't put your hand on the bottom of the cup. So if you want to use it, wait until the resin cools off to where you can grip the cup and hold the cup without any problems. And you can see I got a flannel shirt on. I got chilly. Just squaring up the ends. Need to change the sandpaper on that. But in squaring up the ends, you get it down to the brass. Don't go any farther, just where it touches the brass. That's why I continuously look at it to make sure I've got a full covering on it, and then put it up to the lathe. And I'm already liking the grains on them. And then I start off with a carbide semi-radius and just start working it. The wood, both woods are really easy and really great to work with. I like working with both of them. And I was fortunate to have enough glue all the way around. I had no chip out whatever on this at all. I find if there's an air pocket in the gluing up of some of the segmented portions of this, that you can get a chip out pretty easy where that air pocket is. But this went along really good. Worked it down very easily. No grabs or checks or anything. And I tried to keep it pretty well even all the way down along the blank itself. I usually try to leave mine a little larger, but this one I wanted a little thinner. And I wanted to work the middle as well as the ends kind of down to the bushings. And the wood kind of allowed me to do it. Again, it was really, really good turning on the both woods. But it pretty smooth. You can tell that there's not much roughed up at all, so sanding was easy on this thing. I think I started off with 230, and then just you can kind of see the smoothness. There's no lines or ripples. The entire blank was pretty concentric. So I just keep working it on the and then also go with the grain to make sure. And then in between sandings, whether it's acrylic or wood, I'll use denatured alcohol to get the dust and everything out of some of the cracks. Both this wood tend to be a little bit on the porous side, not like African ivory or anything, but it takes a sealer pretty good, and the sanding on it's really easy. I'm up to 600 right here, and again you can tell that it's really very smooth all the way through it. And again, denatured alcohol, just to get everything. You can tell on the paper towel, you can see how quickly it dries, so you can get back at it pretty easily. And I start putting sanding sealer on it. Again, it's not real porous, but it's porous enough to where I think I put 3, maybe 4 coats of sanding sealer on it. Plus it's a shop pencil, and it's going to be knocked around. So if I can get everything sealed up and then get several coats of polish on it, it tends to last pretty good. You can tell the grain and everything is starting to come out pretty good on it though. And then I start polishing on it. Yeah, I use friction polish on it. So you can see I'm kind of keeping pretty good pressure on it. And then I'll pinch it together right there and start building out some heat on it. Then I put another coat on at least, and then I'll start building up heat. Got about 2 or 3 coats on it, pretty good. And you can see how the grain and the polish of it really is coming out good. Nice and smooth. I don't see any catches. I don't see any burr. I don't see anything coming up on it. So I continue on with the polishing, and again heat it up to get the polish set in. And I think that was the last, this is going to be the last one on the polishing that I did. But yeah, turned out nice. The finish on it is really good. So we'll go over and start putting it together, which is fairly easy. There's only really 2 sections. Again, showing the blank off a little bit there. There's 2 sections. There's the cap on the top, and then there's the whole transmission assembly, pencil assembly. I use blue tape on the clip so as not to mar or mark the pen blank, and then the transmission and everything goes in the bottom of it. I'm not sure why I use the blue tape. It's a shop pencils, but I guess it's habit. But it goes in, just line it up, make sure it's squared, and then it just very easily pushes right in to the tube. And then just pop the clip just a little bit and slide the tape out. And then the transmission going in, it goes all the way through, so you can't really press on it. You're going to be pressing against itself. So I use a block that I've drilled several holes for different applications. And the top, I'll put in the one hole. I think it's a 1/2 inch hole that I drilled. And it'll protect that, the top, the pin part, the click part, which is actually a push on this pencil. But just squared it up, and again, it pushes in very nicely right into it. And it, again, the block of wood with a hole in it protects it. And you just unscrew it if you have to get the transmission or anything out, although the lead itself, you just push on the end and it comes out and goes back in, so the lead can be changed the same way. It's very easy to change the lead. I like the shop pencil because if I need a flat, almost like a wood type pencil, you can sand it, and then once you're done with it, you can sand it back to a point. So I like these shop pencils. They're very versatile, and again, it's a kind of a unique, unusual thing to have in the shop. You don't see many of them hanging around shops. Number 2 pencils are usually the deal. But this turned out very nicely. I think they'll enjoy it. I enjoy having mine in here. The blank turned out very nicely. The wood grain, again, I like that Kingwood and Bocote. So thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching the videos. Subscribe if you haven't. Hit the bell for new ones coming out. And thanks again for stopping by, and please keep in touch.